Let me give you a slightly different perspective.
One other thing I wanted to ask you about or touch on is when you're evaluating companies, because obviously the show is AI plus data, but when you're looking at companies, investing, not investing, whatever it is, how important is data? And when I say data, I mean that's obviously a loose term, but maybe even more of a focus on the client's database or the company's database. Is there a big difference if they have 500,000 people in a database that they're in communication with via newsletters and things like that versus 500,000 or versus 5,000 people? Where does data come in?
Let me give you a slightly different perspective. I don't tend to invest in consumer type products. So things like you're talking about deal with consumers. So I'm not going to probably invest in the next Instagram because those are businesses. I look for businesses where I can see an economic model that is better, faster, and cheaper than the way it's done today, which doesn't always win, by the way. I can give you examples where it's better, faster, cheaper, but inertia keeps it from being adopted quickly. A couple of companies I'm an investor in. One is a robotics company, does maintenance. They started off with robots that would go up in power plants. It's called Gecko Robotics, and go up power plants and look for flaws in the boiler system, which develop over time because they're very corrosive environments. They then went to refineries. So there are a lot of refineries all over. Chevron uses them, et cetera, to check out all the refinery equipment and look
versus sending a human being in there.
Versus sending a human being, which is how it's been done. And it's got built-in sensors and mass spec, and it literally crawls up these reactors, crawls all over them. And it started off where they would do it themselves. Now it's all AI driven. And they collect huge amounts of data, which they've been able to repurpose and sell to some of the people that make this equipment. But more importantly, what's happening now with the role of AI is how do you better design these boilers or these refineries? And by the way, they've moved into maintenance of bridges and maintenance of the military. There are a couple of aircraft carriers. You can go to their videos and they have aircraft carriers where these things are going up and down the aircraft carrier, checking out to make sure the integrity is in place. With that, they can also say, here's a better way to design this. Here's a better way to think about it. And so that data becomes very, very valuable, even if it's used in an AI type scenario specifically.